Good day everyone, I am Kyla S. Blanca Flor from PPED 11. Today I am going to discuss different movement terminologies together with the two body parts execution as an example. Flexion and extension. Flexion and extension is movement that occurs in an anterior-posterior plane angles. Flexion decreases the angle between articulating bones, and extension increases the angle between articulating bones. Neck. Neck flexion is an angle formed between the head and the trunk that decreases movement, while a neck extension is an angle formed between the head and the trunk that increases its movement. Arm. Flexion of the arm. An angle formed by the humerus of the arm and the scapula bone limits the anterior movement of the arm. Arm extension, on the other hand, is the opposite movement that shows the angle of the humerus of the arm and the scapula bone increasing as the arms move posteriorly. Abduction and adduction. Abduction is movement away from the longitudinal axis of the body in the frontal plane, while the adduction moves the heel of the hand and fingers towards the body. Wrist. Wrist abduction is a movement in which we move our arm away from the midline. Meanwhile, wrist adduction is a movement toward the midline of our bodies. Thigh. Thigh abduction is an angle movement that moves your lower limb away from the midline, whereas thigh adduction demands you to move your lower limb back toward the midline. Circumduction. It is a movement of a body region in a circular manner, in which one end of the body region being moved stays relatively stationary while the other end describes a circle. It occurs at the joints that allow for the movements of flexion, abduction, extension, and adduction. Shoulder. Shoulder circumduction occurs in the proximal segment, which is fixed, and the hand is the distal segment, which is free to move in a circle. Head. When the bone is made to circumscribe a conical space, move your head slowly in a circular motion between the head of a bone and its articular cavity. Opposition and reposition. Opposition is a movement of the thumb toward the surface of the palm or the pads of other fingers, while the reposition is the movement that returns the thumb and fingers from its original position. Thumb. The thumb's abduction and flexion articulate with the trapezium bone of the carpus via a saddle joint, allowing the thumb to meet the tips of any of the fingers on the same hand, while reposition implies returning the thumbs and fingers to their original positions. Fingers. Finger opposition and reposition are the same as thumb movement. When the tip of the finger touches the thumb, this is referred to as opposition. When it returns to its original position, this is referred to as reposition. Protraction and retraction. Protraction is moving a body part anteriorly in the horizontal plane, while retraction is the reverse movement. Scapulae. Protraction is the movement of the scapulae anteriorly and laterally toward the side of the body in an anterolateral movement. In a posteromedial movement, the scapulae are moved back posteriorly and toward the body's midline medially. Since our shoulders are connected in the scapulae, protraction can be performed by moving your shoulder upward anteriorly, where areas retraction requires you to move your shoulder downward posteriorly. Rotation. Rotation is a body movement term for anatomy and physiology and kinesiology. Rotation is a body movement that describes the movement of a bone around a central axis. Head. The head can rotate to the left or right laterally. Medial rotation of the head causes it to return to its anatomical position. The vertebral column also allows for left or right rotation. Thigh. The thigh can rotate laterally or medially, just like the arm. The hip joint allows the femur to rotate. Pronation and supination. Pronation and supination are special body movements that involve rotation of the forearm. During supination, the radius rotates over the ulna in a lateral direction. Remember, lateral means away from the body's midline. Forearm. Forearm pronation and supination involve rotating the forearms in a medial direction, with the thumbs pointing toward the midline of the body and the palms facing down, or toward the back when in the anatomical position. Hand. Hand pronation and supination are similar to forearm execution. First, straighten your arms with your palms facing the backside and perform a lateral rotation of the radial bone, which will leave your palms facing forward or anteriorly. And that's all for this discussion. I hope that you learned a lot from me. Thank you for watching.